Okay, yesterday we began the sugya of Shinoi. We saw a machloikis between Rabbi Loi and Reb Chanina. Rabbi Loi said, if you steal a sheep and it becomes a ram, you steal an egel, a calf, it becomes a shar, right? And therefore, the Shinoi is going to be kaina to the extent that what? Shinoi is going to be kaina that tovach umacher shalo toveach shalo humocher. I'm going to get into that today. B'ezras Hashem, will have a very good explanation. How in the world can you steal something and eventually it's yours to the extent that if you shecht it and or sell it, you're not chayav at all? Guys, think about it. It's a pretty huge statement. I stole something, it grew up, it changed, and if you hold Shinu Kaina, of course I have to pay for my original Geneva, but now it's considered mine, according to Rebbe Loi. We'll see a hezbollah in that B'ezras Hashem from Rebbe Chanan. According to Rebbe Chanina brought a brisa, right? Rebbe Chanina brought a brisa. What did Rebbe Chanina say in the brisa? He said that if you steal a tleh and it becomes an ayel, or egel becomes a shar, you're going to pay tashlumei abar v'chamisha on based upon what it was worth at the time of the geneva. In other words, the shinui from egel to shar or tleh to ayel is not kind. You're still going to pay for dollar a hay. Brag the Gemara. So he said, if Bishleim and me, I say Sheen is kind, I'm going to pay. I don't pay at all. But according to you, that Sheen is not kaina, why are you going to B'shas Geneva? If Sheen is kaina, you should pay what it's worth now as a shar, what it's worth now. And so he said, did I steal a shar? Did I steal anyway, basically we left off the conversation. You save me from you, and you save me from you, right? That's what we left off with. Okay, we're up to Maskif, about 7 lines up on Samich Hey Amid Base. 8 lines up, 10 lines up. Maskif le Reb Zera. V'nikninu b'shinoi Hashem. Lo Reb Chanina, who holds Shinoi and Kaina, maybe Shinoi, the fact that its body changed, which was Mimela. It changed Mimela, right? It changed Mimela. So why don't we say that what? The Shinoi Shem should make a difference. It's no longer called a Tleh, it's called an Ayel. It's no longer called an Egel, it's called a Shar. Amarava, there is no Shinoi Hashem. Shar ben Yomo Kari Shar. Ayel ben Yomo Kari Ayel. Biologically, I can go from being a Tleh to an Ayel. Biologically, I can go from being an Egel to a Shar. Vis-a-vis the name, I can even call an Egel a Shar. I can even call a Tleh an Ayel. Where do we see that? Where do we see that? Dichsiv, Shar oikesev oyez ki yivaled. A shar or a sheep or a goat when it's born. That should be what 7 days on its mother, and then the 8th day you can bring it as a carbon. But what do you see? Even the day it's born, it's called a shar. Ayel ben yom kara ayel dichsiv. When Yaakov is giving his whole rendition to Lavan, he says ve'eleit zeinecha lo yachalti. Right? Said, make the diak. Elim hu bleach. I didn't eat the rams, but kvasim achal, but I ate the lambs. Of course he didn't. Lav shmami, no. What's the point of telling me ve'elit tzedch le'achalti is ayel ben yomo kari ayel. It's called ayel. Okay. So the bottom line is that Shinei Hashem doesn't work. So in other words, you want to say Shinei Hashem, Shinei Hashem doesn't work. So the Gemara says now mikol mokum kasha. Rabbi Eloi said a chiddush, fellas. Shinei is kind of to the extent that if you go ahead and shecht it, shalohu shechet, right? Machra, shalohu machra. It's kind of to the extent that what? That it belongs to him and there is no chiyav daled v'hei. But you had a brisa. Reb Chinoi is a brisa. The chiyav daled v'hei is when there is a chiyav and it's kishen kishagonav. Why is it not later on? Because you could say, I didn't steal a shar. Did I steal a shar? Did I steal the ayel? So Reb Chanina comes up with a claim. But the bottom line is we have a brisa saying that what? You have the dollar behay, you have to pay, right? If Shinoi is kaina, you shouldn't have to pay it. That's the kasha. Mikol makam kasha on Rabbi Loi, who says the Shinoi is kaina to the extent that the ganav does not pay the dollar behay. We have a price that says he does. Rav Sheshes, money. Who's the Tana of the brisa that says you pay dollar behay and Shinoi is not kaina? Is Beis Shammai. It's Beis Shammai. The Amar Shinoi b'mkoymai amedes. Shinoi stays in its place. In other words, this shinoi of growing up is not considered a shinoi. Taisus brings there are places where he would be mighty there are a shinui, but right now for intensive purposes. So therefore, Rabbi Loi said, I said my brisa against the Ana, who the halacha is b'chol makoim Beis Hillel, who says Shinu is kaina. You, Reb Chanina, are bringing me a kasha where Dalet v'Hei he has to pay because Shinu is not kaina. That's Beis Shammai, right? V'loi kana the Tanya, right? Fredimar v'loi kana, and it's not kaina now. V'loi kana the Tanya. Now here's the Shitas of Beis Shammai. Here's where we see that Shinu is not kaina. Now there's a pasuk in the Torah that says, "Leisavi esnan zoyna b'mechir kelev beis Hashem elokecha l'chol neda ki ta'avas Hashem elokecha gam shneihem." You can't bring something that you got exchanged that was exchanged for the services of a zoyna or something that you used for the purchase of a dog. That cannot be used in the Beis Hamikdash. It's a tayeva. That's called an esnan zoyna. Now. So Nasan Labes Nana, you gave her payment, Chitin via Soilus. Now Soilus can be used for a carbon mincha. Seisim, you gave her a payment, Seisim, Vasan Shemen, it became Shemen. So that could be used in the libations, in the Menachas. Anavim Vasa Yayin, again. So all these things are shaykhs to the Mizbeach, and there was a shinoi, correct? There was a shinoi. You gave her the solid, and she turned it into the liquid. So there was a shinoi. Tanicha the asa, tanicha the mutta. One says it's asa because of esnan, and one says it's mutta. It's not esnan. V'amar b'yosef tani guryan mideas peirik. That's the name of a place. Beishamai oisrin, beisil matirin. Good. The one that said that it's asa is because shina bimkomo medes. It's still considered an esnan. So we consider the oil zaysim. We consider the wine grapes. We consider the soiles chitin. And there's no what? There's no shinoi. And the one that said that it's muta, that Shinu's kaina is Beis Hillel, and therefore we proved that Beis Hillel is the one who says Shinu's kaina. Beis Shammai says not. Therefore, the kasha Reb Chanina asked from the Dalet v'Hei that you pay. You see the Dalet v'Hei, even if you change from a tle to an ayel or an egel to a shar, that's according to the Shita Beis Shammai, and Rabbi Loi said his din that Shinu's kaina according to Beis Hillel. Now, my time in the Beis Shammai, again, the pasuk says. Ki tavas Hashem elokecha gam shneihem, gam l'rabbi shinuehem. Gam comes to go ahead and be marba the shinuyim. That even the shinuyim are considered esnan. Ubeis Hillel heim, it says gam shneihem, and from the shneihem we're dasing the word heim v'lo shinuehem. Right? Only they are aser es esnan, but the shinuyim are mutter. Now, what does Beis Shammai do with Beis Hillel's limud? Beis Shammai ahu heim v'lo vadai sehem. If an esnan you gave over an animal and that animal had an animal, the animal that was born would not be an esnan. Who dasa? Beis Hillel tarti shmaminob from heim v'lishuneim heim v'lo vadai sehem. From the word heim, you hear that there's no din of esnan in their shinueim in their changes. There's no din of esnan in their children born. Furthermore, Beis Hillel gam. What does he do with the gam of Beis Shammai? He says the word gam of Beis Hillel kasha. Right? Basically shver. Okay? So what do you see from over here? You see a tremendous chiddush, guys, that if you hold Shinu is koina, it mamish belongs to what? It belongs to the ganef. Why? Because you're not going to pay Dalet v'Hei. Shalohu toveach, shalohu moichet. Good? Ad kan loy pligi ela demar sava Shinu koina u'mashava ein Shinu koina. Machlokes between Rashi and Tosfos, who's it going on? Is it going Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, or is it going on Reb Loi and Reb Chanina? We're going to learn like Rashi. It's going on Reb Loi and Reb Chanina. The Reb Chanina says it's not koina, and Reb Loi says it is koina. Ad kan pligi el demasav shinu koina masav ein shinu koina. Aval inyan shlume kuli alma kidmi kara mishalim. Everyone holds you're going to pay kidmei kara, right? Because it says. Kain Shaganav. If you look back at the Brisa, guys, right? If you look back at the Brisa, Chanina's Brisa, Esrei, with on the Amid Beis, yesterday's Amid Beis, the second line down where it gets wide. Esrei Chanina Rabbi Loi, Gonav Tle, V'nasa Ayel, Egel V'nasa Shor, V'shalim Tashlume Kefil, V'tashlume Abor Chamisha, Ke'ein Shaganav. You're going to pay what? The Tashlume Kefil, and Tashlume Dalet v'Hei Ke'ein Sheganav. Go back to Samech Yom and Aleph, guys. 4 lines down from the top. Gufa, Amarav, Keren Kain Shaganav, Tashlumi Kefil with Tashlumi Abar Chamisha, Kishas Hamada Bidin. Rav's an Amoira. That's a brisa. Rav says Dalad Vehi goes after what? Hamada Bidin. That's what Rav says. What does the brisa say? Kain Shaganav. So now we just, in other words, until now our focus has been on the Machloikis, right? And now, oh, by the way, yesterday's Gemara, Rav said this, bomb. Rav said Dalad Vehi. You're going to go ahead, what? And pay Amada Bidin. Clearly the brisa said over here, what are you going to pay? You're going to pay what? You're going to pay B'Shas Geneva. Kashan Rav. Says the Gemara inside. But if you pay let's say this is a knockout punch on Rav. The Amar Rav, Keren Kain Shegona, as we just saw. Mishalim Tashlumei Kefil, Tashlumei Dal Vehei Kishas Hamada B'Din. Amar Rava, it depends. Taloyim Kidemei Kara. If you pay Taloyim, you're going to go after the price of Kimei Kara. Damim Kishel Achshav. But if you pay Damim, then you're going to go according to what the price it is now. If I get, again, you're coming to me, you're saying that Shini is not Koina, right? This is the price that Shini is not Koina. If you Dalid Vehei, you're going to pay Kain Shuganav. What is that speaking about? Where you're returning the original item. Remember, I told you yesterday the whole machloikis, the whole opinion is where you're not returning the original item, where it's no longer here. Where it's here, everyone's going to say you returned the original item. You know, there's no. I introduced Rav yesterday with that remark. Rav is only speaking where the item is no longer here. This item is here. It's in a different form, but it's here. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to you when? I'm going to give it to you right back. So now you're getting it, Kidemei Kar, or whatever was worth what. I got to pay Kidemei Kar. If I'm the Tle, I'm going to have to, I don't have to pay more than it was then. Here you're getting it back. Mashenkin, if you're paying Domim, when you're paying Domim, then you have to pay according to the price of a Mother B'Din. So Mela, Rav was speaking when it's no longer here. You're paying Domim, you're not paying the original Tle. Where I'm paying the original Tle, then it goes Kain Shagonav. Let's see Rashi, guys. Let me have it to the Rav. Fourth line down. The Omar Le'el Kishas Hamada B'Din Kishahuzlu the Koshken Kishahukru. Even if it went up, the Hasam Afilu Keren Mechayev Le Rav Kihashta. The Karabas Firale. The Omar Tavoy Shasa Mishalim Daled. We saw that you're gonna. It's like the beginning of Chisha, and therefore you're gonna pay Daled. Then you're gonna pay what it was at the time of the Shchita. We've said that when you go ahead, according to Rashi, the act of weakening it, working into the ground, is the beginning of the shechita. Therefore, it's going to go at the time of the Geneva. However, Tloim Kidmei Kara, Kloimar, Bol Shalim Tloim Kidmei Kara, Sagi, the Tle Gana for Tle Mishalim. If you could go ahead and pay Tloim like Kidmei Kara, Tloim Kidmei Kara, Sagi. In other words, I think what I just told you might be totally the wrong pshat. Doesn't mean he's returning the original object. It means he's returning a Tle. So let's dash that, okay? He's paying a Tle. He's paying what he stole. He's not paying the exact same thing he stole. He's paying the min of the thing he stole. So if he stole the Tle and he's returning a Tle, it's enough meikara. That's what I stole. That's what I'm giving back. Obviously, if he's paying back the original object, the whole thing is off, guys. If he's returned the original object. So what I told you is let's X that out. However, if he's returning money, then he has to go. It's not originally returning. Then you go b'shas some other thing. Okay. So now let's just recap, and see what we got. Maybe even the recap it'll answer your question. So hang in there. We saw machloikus yesterday between Reb Eloi and Reb Chanina. Like Reb Eloi, Shina is kaina. If I steal therefore something and it changes, it changed it changed from going from a calf to a shar. You would not be chayiv dalad v'hei, because what you're shechting is now yours, and it's not longer the person that it belonged to. Kefil you'd have to pay, but dalad v'hei not. We had a kasha from a brisa that said you'd have to pay dalad v'hei kain shagonav, right? Kain shagonav, what it's worth then. Said Rabbi Eloi, okay, and kasha on Rabbi Eloi, that was Reb Chanina. We answered that. That's going according to Beis Shammai. It says Shino is not kaina. Right? Why am I paying Kain Shaganav? Right? There was no change. It was paying Kain Shaganav. Now, Kasha on Rav. Rav said yesterday that Dala Vehe, you always pay Shasam Adar B'Din. We have a brisa that Chanina quoted, you're paying Kain Shaganav. And now we're answering, what with that price that says you're paying Kain Shaganav is where you're paying exactly what you stole. I stole the sheep, I'm restoring a sheep. I stole an egel, I'm returning an egel. Not the same egel, obviously, but a different one. Not the same sheep, but a different one. Okay, again, I'm reiterating that I told you the one shot earlier. And now, if you go ahead, Rod, and you are guessing on Rav is speaking where you were not returning the sheep, you're paying cash. You pay cash, you go Shasam Adar B'Din. So that would answer up Rav, the Kash from the Brisa. It would explain the difference Machloikas between Reb Eloi and Reb Chanina, subject to the Machloikas Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. Yes, Heshi.
I hear the Machloikas. I just missing the nuance of when something changes Mela. It goes from a calf to a regular sheep. So it's really, that's the natural what's supposed to happen. So why would you not be chayiv to pay what it is now?
Okay, so basically, let me rephrase your question. What's the difference? Why you paying it all? Again, according to Shinu Koina, you're not paying it all. It's yours. It's a bigger chiddush, actually. How does that happen? How does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, Heshi's going to like this because it's a Rebbe Chanan. Heshi learned by a Talmud Rebbe Chanan. Reb Tovia Zatzal. Okay, this is the Sefer. This is for the blog. The Sefer is called Kovitz Shiurim. It was written by Reb Simcha Wasserman Zatzal, who was the son of Reb Elchanan Bunu Wasserman Hashem Yirakim Damav. Reb Elchanan Wasserman was the Rosh Yeshiva called Baronovich. It was like a cheder. It was like a mesifta. It was like a high school for many of the Mira Gedolim came from that yeshiva. Reb Shmuel Birnbaum was a Talmud Muvik of Reb Elchanan, and many of them went to Baronovich. And it's Yedua that Reb Elchanan was in America at the time when World War II broke out. He went back to Europe to be with his Talmidim, knowing that he's putting himself in danger. And in 1941, he was killed in the Kovna ghetto, along with his son Reb Naftali and other children. But Simcha, he survived the war, and he wrote down his father's Torah, and it's called Kovitz Shiurim. So in Baba Kama Daf Yudalid, I pieced together two parts. Daf Samich Vav, and we're going to see it in a second. The Gemara says, in a second, it says, Shinu is kaina. How do you know Shinu is kaina? Because the pasuk says, and really what we should do is go ahead and look at the Gemara right now. Before we look at Rabbi Chanan, let's look at the Gemara. Let's look at the Gemara, and then we'll get back in a second. Says the Gemara by us. I'm a rabbi. Says Rabbi Shinu kaina. Shinu is kaina. Kisiva v'tanina. It's written in the Torah, and it's learned in the Torah Shabbat Peh. Ksiva, it says the following: V'heishiv es hagzela shegazal. If a person goes ahead and he steals something, if a person goes ahead and he steals something, right? V'hoya kiyechta v'oshem v'heishiv es hagzela shegazal, and he should return the gazela that he stole. What does that mean? Ma tamalem asher gazal. What else are you going to return, fellas? You're going to return what you stole. Of course, you're going to return what you stole, right? What? You're going to return what you didn't steal? So the words asher gazal they're extra. Im kein shegazal, if it's what matam asher gazal, im kein shegazal, if it's the same state it was in when you stole it, yachzer, then you return it. The im lav. And if it's not in the same state, domim alma boy shlume, all you have to pay what is domim. So in this case, if I stole it and it was a calf, I'm rechayev to return a calf. When it becomes an egel, no longer is kain shegazal. It's not what I stole, and memela I'm only chayev to give domim. Good. Now, we need one more step, fellas. We need one more step. This just tells me that I don't have to return this? What tells me that it's mine? That if I shecht it, I'm shechting mine. It's really, there's two inyanim over here, guys. There's two inyanim over here. One, that shinu is kaina. Shinu is kaina. Where do you see shinu is kaina? I don't have to return what I stole. This animal, as Heshi put it, is the natural state going from a calf to a shar. It is what I stole, but it's not like what I stole. So it's not like what I stole. I don't have to return it. But we need one more step, guys. What do we need? So good, I don't have to return it, but how do I know it's mine? How do I know tavach shalohu taveach, machar shalohu machra? How do you know it becomes the Goslin's? You understand? It's becoming mine. How do you know that? So this is what Rabbi Chanan is coming to answer. Good? Here we go, guys. Look at it. Daf Samich Vav. Behodi alfinon the shinu koina mikra da asher gazal. That you find out that shinu is koina from the pasuk asher gazal. L'chayra kasha. It's difficult. The mikra lo yadinon ela de'ena chayav lahachzir la'achar shenishtana. The pasuk just tells me I don't have to return it after it changed. V'gam ena yachal loymar hari shalcha lefanecha. And also I can't return and say, here it is, this is yours. How do you know that it becomes the Goslin through Shinoi? The second step. I underline this. The Hatalia, one is contingent upon the other. The Kivin, the Poka din Hashava, once you don't have the din of returning it anymore, it's acquired by the Goslin from his first Gazela. Okay, let's explain what this means. When we think of Kinyan, we think of acquiring something. Throughout, we went through Masech the Kedushin, Meshicha. Let's go through Kinyan and Metaltalin, Meshicha, heavy animals, Mesira, Hagba b'chol makoim, right? Women, Kesef, Shtar, Bia. Right? We know there's a parsha of Kinyanim. You acquire something. Shomer, when a Shomer acquires a Shomer, he has to watch it, and depending on how much he's makabel, right? Is he koine it? I would say not. He's not chayiv linyan einsin. He's not chayiv if something bad happens to it, with the exception of the shoyel who uses it. So by the shoyel, it's shaykh kinyan. Fellas, we saw in the beginning of Masechta in the sixth parak HaKainis solidir. If the Ganav takes it out, the Gazlan takes it out, then he's chayiv linyan einsin. If this animal, anything happens to the animal, or he becomes the Baal, even the Inyan, it does damages. So he acquires it. Gezela, guys, is the Kinyan. When the Ganav takes something, he's chayiv now. If anything happens to this animal, anything happens to this object that he took, he's chayiv. That's good. There's a Kinyan. That's an acquirement. So why can't he keep it if he acquired it? Because he has a chiyuv of hashava. He has a chiyuv to return it. In other words, I stole this bottle of water, it's mine. However, since I have to return it, it's not mine to use because I have to return it. What happens if you take off the chiyuv to return it? What happens automatically? It becomes yours. Once I don't, in other words, there is a kinyan over here that says it's in my jurisdiction. I'm chayiv linyan einsin. It should be mine. However, it can't be mine. You know why? There's a chiyuv of hashava. There's a chiyuv to return it. Since I can't return it, memela, what does it remain? That gezela rishona, I underlined it. Gezela rishona, the act of stealing it, really made it mine. But there was a chiyuv of hashava that said I couldn't keep it. Once you take off the chiyuv of hashava, memela, it's yours. And beautifully, that's pshat over here. I went ahead, I stole the tleh. It became a sheep. It became a ram. I stole an egel. It became a shar. I had to return an egel. I had to return it. I had to return a tleh. I had to. What happened? It changed. There was a shinoi. What did the shinoi do? It's not kain shegozel anymore, guys. It's not like I stole anymore, guys. If it's not like I stole anymore, I don't have a chiyuv hashava. If I don't have a chiyuv hashava on this animal, of course I have to pay. I have to pay for my ma'aser gazela. We're not rewarding you. You have to pay what you stole. I just don't have to pay this. There's no ma'aser hashava. There's no ma'aser hashava. Whose animal am I shechting? Whose animal am I stealing? So I state in Rebbe Chanan. He goes on. We can. I think you got the gist. You hear the Yisrael Rebbe Chanan, guys?
Yeah.
He answers your kasha.
Yeah.
The way he broke it up beautifully, right? He broke up this Yisrael beautifully. He broke it up into two parts, right? So Mamela, it makes sense. The previous Gemara makes a lot of sense. Loy Rebbe Loy, that Shina is kaina, and therefore, if I steal a tle and it becomes an ayol, if I steal an egel, it becomes a shor, right? I'm chayiv for the theft, right? 1,000%, right? But once Shina is kaina, shalohu toveach, shalohu mocher, because since it changed, there's no longer a chiyuv hashava. Once there's no longer a chiyuv hashava, then the kinyan that I made as a goslin is there. That's good. A very, very, very nice lumdis to understand a difficult matter. Again, you're not being rewarding the guy. You're not. He's going to have to pay. He's going to pay what he stole, right? But again, this is the lumdis of the side of Rabbi Chanan. Let's see the Gemara Vaita. Okay, so we have a pasuk that says Shina is kaina v'heishvus gzela shegozal matam la shegozal im kein shegozal yachsivim lav damim ba'alma boy shlomei. Tanina hagozel eitzim v'asa kalim. If someone steals wood and turns them into kalim, that's a Shina Maisa. He's changing the action. Semer, he steals wool v'asa begodim and he makes garments out of that. Again, that's a Shina Maisa. Mishalim kshas hagzela. He pays kshas hagzela. Right, he pays kshas hagzela, inami or another. So that's guys. So we see clearly that what that you're kaina. There's no chiyuv hashava and you're kaina. So you see that Shina is kaina. He pays kshas hagzela, right? He doesn't return the garment, right? And inami in other places from Rishis Agez. If you didn't give a chance to give it to the kohen at Shetzavai until the gaze was died, with the dy, it was died, and therefore there was a shinoi pata. He's pata. He doesn't have to give it to him at all. Alma shinoi kaina. We see shini is kaina. Okay, so that's the first part. We know shini is kaina. We have a pasuk, two psukim. We have one pasuk and two rayas from the Gemara. Pasuk ve'eshev shegozal, and the raya from the Gemara. We have a raya from either from the Gemara in that we're going to see later on in the Masechta, or a Gemara that in Masechta Chulin we're going to see regarding Rishis, I guess. What about Yish? Yish alone. Again, Yish Kadi. When a person gives up, the guy takes something and a person's miyayish. Does it have the same concept of shinui or not? Do we say it becomes the gazels or not? Does Yish alone make it not? Yish Amir Rabbanan the Nikli. Miyu lo yadinan either Raisi Rabbanan. We know Yish is kaina according to Rabba, but however we want to know is the Rabbanan the Raisa. Midi the Havia Moitzi Aveda. Perhaps Yish is like Moitzi Aveda. Moitzi Aveda lav kivin the miyayish mora mine mekami the taste of the yodei. Since the owner gave a pope before it came to his hands, kanile. Hainami over here by the Goslin kivin miyayish mora kanile. Alma kani oidilma loidami la Aveda. Aveda hu dechiasi liyodei beteru as liyodei. It came to his hand beheter. He was entrusted. He picked it up to watch it. He was in a shemer Aveda. Avol hai, but by Goslin kivin the bisur ganav kivin the bisur as liyodei midrabanan hu dama rabbanan nikni mifnei the kanas shavim. The Rabbanim will say that he's kaina because the kanas shavim. Okay, fellas, if you hold Yush is the Raisa not kaina because the source for Yush would be Aveda. Aveda came to his hands beheta. This came to his hands beisur. What would the svara be that the Rabbanim should be kaina? The following: I went ahead, I stole the beam. This is a classic case. I stole the beam. I went ahead, I had a construction site, and I built it into my house, and somewhere in the middle of my house is a beam. Now, if you're going to tell me that it's not, if you're going to tell me that Yush is not kaina, I would have to go ahead, knock down my house, take that beam out, and there's no way I'm doing that. So to facilitate shuva, you know what they said? Yush is kaina, that I won't have to return that beam. Of course, again, you always have to pay, but I won't have to pay the thing I stole. In other words, this is to incentivize a person for doing tshuva. That's called takonas hashavim, the takana to make it easier for people to what? To return stolen objects. That would be the svara why yish would be, the rabbanon would be kaina. If Yosef Amar yish ain't a kaina vafilim the rabbanon, even the rabbanon it would not be kaina. That is okay. So now, question is yish kaina alone? Not again. Yish alone is a kaina or not? Says Rabbi Yosef, it's not kaina, and as we're going to see, Rabbi says it is kaina. Eser Rabbi Yosef leRabba. Rabbi Yosef is said that yish is not kaina. Yes, Rabbi who says it is kaina. Gazel chametz vavel of a Pesach. A person steals chametz and Pesach passes by. Person steals chametz, passes by. Now, he says to him, there's no change in the chametz, at least on the outside. This is the classic hezek she'enoi nicker. By now, we're familiar. This is a hezek that's not discernible. It looks exactly the same, except a few days ago it's geschmack to eat, and after Pesach it's asa b'hana. But there's no discernible change, right? But you could say Harish Fanecha, right? V'hayvin kivin the mate eden isura. You reach the time of Easter. Vadai miyayish. Vadai the owner is miyayish. He doesn't want it in his rishus at all. Now visak daidach yish koina amay oimela Harish Fanecha, right? Dami ma'alya boy shlumalei. Okay, using our lumdis guys, right? If you're going to tell me yish is like similar to shinoi, even though it might be a difference. Right? If Shinoi no longer now the kinyan of Gazela is yours, so the kinyan Gazela is yours. You can't say Ashechalafenecha. It's not mine, it's yours. If Yush is Koina, right? That means that I'm out, you're in, your bread that you have of mine is not my bread, it's your bread. So how can you tell me Ashechalafenecha? El must be Yush is not Koina, and therefore it still was mine, and therefore you could say Ashechalafenecha, a raya to Rabbi Yosef and a kasha on Rabbah. Okay, says the Gemara, Rabbi Holzer. Amalei said, Rabbi, ki kamina ana, ze misyayish v'ze roitz aliknois. Hi, ze misyayish v'ze einer roitz aliknois. Okay, now, it takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. Just because I'm a yayish doesn't ordinarily make it mine. In other words, Rabbi would be moida if this person's miyayish and the other person doesn't want it. It still belongs to the other person. We spoke about this, but it didn't hefker. It doesn't leave the owner's rishus until it comes to the other person's rishus. Over here, this would be a good lumdus over here. In fact, the Ketzos in Siman Tes Vav says this in Tuf Vav. He says that this is a raya that yish does not leave the person's rishus until it comes to the other person's rishus. So the guy who's owned the bread, the guy who stole it, when this guy is miyayish on it, he doesn't want it, right? So it still stays by him. The Ganav doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. So he's miyayish, but he doesn't want it. When do I say yish is koina? When he's miyayish and the other person wants it. Over here, the Ganav doesn't want it. It's asabana. He doesn't want it. So since he doesn't want it, it remains by him. And thus he can say hashkala fanecha. But it's not a kasha on me. I said my din of yish koina is when the other person wants it. Over here, clearly, case of chametz, the other person doesn't want it, and therefore even yish over here is not going to go ahead and make it koina because the other person doesn't want to be koined. The guy of any rights alakmas. Abaya is now going to ask to Rabba. Again, Rabba said yish is koina. It says by the karbonis, it says karbonoi. It says his carbon v'lo gazel. Now, guys, the havamina is I stole an animal of chulin. I stole an animal of chulin, and I'm magdish the animal, and I want to bring it as a carbon. Hekidami. If it's before before Yush, lamali kra. Why do I need a pasuk to tell me you can't bring it? Pshita, right? It's pashit. Look at the top taisus. The afilu kitshinu ain't a kaddish. Even if I was magdish it, it's not kaddish. The gazel b'loinis yashu abaylim. The halach is if someone steals and the owner does not give up hope. Shnei meini yichel lahagdish. Zelafi sheini shaloi. V'zelafi sheini b'shusoi. The one who owns it can't be magdish because it's not his b'shus. The person who stole it can't be magdish because it's not his. So obviously it's pashit that it can't be speaking that was before Yush. I don't need a pasuk to tell me that. Clearly, no one will be able to be magdish that carbon. Ella must be speaking lav la'acha Yush. Must be speaking after Yush. And nonetheless, I can't go ahead and bring it as a carbon. But why? If it's just after Yish, why can't I bring it as a carbon? Shmami no Yish like koina. You see, the Yish alone is not koina. So again, if I stole an animal of chulin, the owner was miyayish. If Yish is koina, I should be able to go ahead and bring it as a carbon, and you can't. It's a raya that Yish is not kaina, and therefore it's not considered carbon. No, it's not considered. It's his carbon, not my carbon. Amalei. So Rabbi retorted to what? To Abaya. No, really, Yish is kaina. However, Rava. So Amalei. I guess Rabbi. Let's be goris. Rabbi ula taimech haditanya mishkavai. It says by the mishkav of a zav. The pasuk says by the mishkav of a zav. He doesn't bring it over here. The pasuk is ish yiga mishkavai. Now the mishkav of a zav. Let's go. If the zav lies down on a bed, it's an avatuma. It's an avatuma can be tama adam, right? Because tumas midris. That's only his bed, not if it's not someone else's bed. Mishkavai, only if it's his bed is it an avatuma. But loy hagazal, but not a stolen bed. Hechidami. Ilay the gazel imra. He stole wool. Vavei the mishkav, and he made some type of bed. Mi ikle mandiyama shina ma'isa leikana. Is there any mandiyama who said shina ma'isa won't be kaina? That zicha would be the owner, the gazlan would own it. Elamayas cholamema must be the gazel mishkav the chavre. It must be he stole a bed. It must be he stole a bed. Hachanami the gazel carbon the chavre. Here he didn't steal an animal of chulin, and he's an animal of chulin and this left in Hachanami. If he stole an animal of chulin and the owner was miyayish, he could bring it. Here it's speaking, we stole a carbon, guys. He stole a carbon, and that's why he can't bring it. Look at Rashi. The gazel carbon the chavre shehigdish chaveroi. His friend was magdashit. Uloilam lifnei yish. It's speaking either before yish. Ve'itzrich lachshmin. What's the chiddush? The ena oila l'ratzin klal v'afilu l'baylim b'shoinim. The afagav d'loi have yish. In other words, here's the chiddush. When it says karbonoi, his carbon, if someone steals his carbon and brings it, it doesn't work for him. And it can be speaking lifnei yish, guys. And if it's speaking lifnei yish, it's not a kasha on me rabba at all. You're asking on me rabba, I hold yish as kaina. This is speaking before yish, so it's not even a kasha upon me at all. A second shot in Rashi, lishnach rina, the gazel carbon, the chavre. He stole the carbon mat of his friend. Hilkach afilu lacha yish lekanya. Even after yish won't be kaina, the carbon ain't a nigzal. The carbon can't be stolen. Wherever it is, it belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's still hegdish. Wherever this is hegdish. So therefore, even if you could say yish is kaina, it won't be by a carbon. It won't be by a carbon. Just a little small thing. The last second tais was down. Shmamino the yish lekana. The ikana imkain chashuv shapir carbonoi. Because it was kaina, would be his carbon. Taisus, yes, why be a mitzvah ba'avera? The answer is, if he's miyayish and becomes his, it's not considered mitzvah ba'avera because the mamish belongs to him. Again, I think Rabbi Chonan's Yisoid helps us out a great deal. It just takes off the din of Hashava, but the kinyan is in place.
I think it helps by an Aveda also. Why does Yeyish work by an Aveda? Because there's no longer a chiv to return it.
But Yish is the problem is you get into the shaila of Yish lemidas, whether it helps when it goes to the person's rishus or not. According to that, even if it's in a person's rishus, it should help right away. Right? The whole machlekes the Ba'avarava shouldn't begin if Yish to that extent, right? That's my problem with it. Okay, I don't know if we should go on a little weiter. I think we will hold off over here. It's even though it's only half a daf, but we got plenty to do. Okay, a lot to think about. Very geschmack.